Good morning. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. That shit really helps, you know. It really helps. Trust me. I didn't realize how much it did help, but it does help the channel. So thank you again to everyone that watches, shares, likes, all those good things. Thank you very, very much. I've got some really interesting news to share with you guys. I will share it properly as soon as it's like signed on the dotted line, almost like Sky Sports and Talks, but I'll share it. But it's really interesting. I'll give you a clue. That's all I can give you. It's about trainers. That's it. That's all I can say. It's about trainers. But yeah, like random surprise and always good, right? Always good. Always good. So thank you for everyone that is happy right now that Ade's got some interesting news and good news to share. Cheers. All right, like yesterday's video, I have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. But I'm sure that we'll find something. There's always some, in this wonderful world of boxing, there's always some bullshit that comes up. Always. So I'm sure that we'll find it. I'm so happy to hear that I'm not the only one that's getting those bots. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm hearing that a lot of people are getting them, like random channels are getting them. So it's weird though how many of them. Like I could do a video like yesterday's video. I think like 40 comments or bots, which is a bit strange. So YouTube needs to look into that shit. But isn't just me, peeps. Isn't just me. You know what? Let's start with this one. I think this is probably the biggest story. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder will not happen this year. Not this year, people. That was pretty much confirmed by Frank Warren yesterday in an interview that he did with Umar Ahmed for IFL TV. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. Quick one on Umar. He's a good interviewer, you know. Now, that shit ain't easy. That shit isn't. For someone with zero journalism skills, like just plucked out of thin air pretty much, to do what he does is not easy. I know he gets a lot of criticism, but I just want to say well done to the lad because I've been there. I've done those type of interviews. It's not easy to think of the next question. Like sometimes you might have a list of questions written down, but it's not like he can look at them. Do you know what I mean? He's holding especially the ones where he's holding the camera. It's not that easy to do. So credit to Umar on his journey with IFL TV. He came here about a year ago, I'm going to say. I asked him to come down and just talk about his journey. He was nice to come down. He brought his own camera, own mic. I didn't have any of that shit. He brought everything. So yeah, man, well done to Umar Ahmed on the journey so far. Well done. But yeah, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder isn't happening this year, which is very disappointing to say the least. Very disappointing, especially when you consider how long it took for their second fight to happen. Like, let's not forget their first fight was. Wait, I'm gonna get this wrong. When was their first fight? Let me just get up. Was it December 2018 or 17? Couldn't have been 17. Must have been 18, right? Yeah, of course. December 2018 was their first fight. They didn't have the rematch until February 2020. Do you know what I mean? And now we're going to look like we're going to have a situation where they're not going to have their third fight, the trilogy, until whenever in 2021. It's a bit disappointing. It is a bit disappointing. It does seem like Tyson Fury's been wanting to push it, just because he's been the more vocal of the two, but he's been saying, like, let's get it done, let's get it done. We haven't heard much from Deontay Wilder, which doesn't mean Deontay Wilder doesn't want it, but it's just, he's been a bit more quiet than we're used to. Look, the fight would have had to have happened, I guess, behind closed doors, although some fights, like, I'm sure I read someone like Gervonta Davis, Leo Santa Cruz is having some fans in attendance. So some fights are having fans, but with their second fight, the gate making something like 17 million, I think both fighters and everyone would have had to taken a big hit for there to be no live gate like that and still pay the fighters what they're contractually obliged to get. You know what I mean? Like, everyone would have taken a big hit. And I feel like everyone has just said, we ain't taking this hit. They won't admit that, right? Fury isn't going to admit that, but I think that's just the case. I think everyone's like, we're not taking 30% less. We'd rather just wait. would rather wait. And if you're Tyson Fury, you can honestly have a couple of Mickey Mouse fights or even a Mickey Mouse fight in between, very similar to a Tom Schwartz, still make very good money, and then have Wilder. You know, it's not like Tyson Fury, and I think we all can know this. It's not like Tyson Fury is going to fight a guy in the top 15, top 20. He isn't going to do that. He'll fight someone maybe with a winning record, but when you dig a bit deeper, the person's fought nobody, beat them, make some good money doing that, and then fight Wilder. Don't blame him. I don't blame him. I wouldn't roll the dice. I wouldn't risk anything, risk any sort of injury. I mean, we saw it happen when he fought Otto Voller in the cut. I wouldn't risk anything by fighting a guy that is a danger. I would fight a bum. Not saying that these boxers are bums, I ain't saying that, but I would fight, you know, someone outside the top 30, 40, but with a winning record. So they can try and sell it to the casuals. Like, look at his record though. He's 17-0 with 16 knockouts, but then he's fought pub guys. So, yeah, that's disappointing. It's even more disappointing because all the big fights are happening. So everyone, it seems like, again, I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but it seems like everyone else has been willing to take some sort of hit to get the fights on. We know that Loma took a hit to take the Teofimo fight. I think everyone can remember that. I'm sure both Charlos took hits to take their fights against Rosario and Derevyanchenko. You know, White, Povetkin definitely took a hit. Chisora, Usyk definitely took a hit. Still don't know what's going on with Joshua Pulev though, to be fair, but it is a shame that we're not seeing it. For Wilder, could be a good thing. Could be a good thing that more time, right? I mean, we found out last week that he's got rid of one of his trainers. I'm sure they're bringing someone. I think I heard something about Malik Scott joining the camp, not as a sparring partner, but something a bit more. But if that is the case, then it gives him longer time to work with whatever he's got now. So he might actually want this time off. And the first fight, or the second fight, sorry, was a bit, I mean, it wasn't damaging like the way people, well, I didn't think it was damaging, right? I don't think he took a beating, but it was painful for him. So, I mean, he would want to heal properly, and then go back in. He's got that time now. He's going to have possibly a good year. So, yeah, that's the latest news with Wilder and Fury. Disappointing, right? Very disappointing. I think another reason why, another reason why I think it's more disappointing is because this holds up the potential of Joshua Fury, or even Joshua Wilder, but let's just say Joshua Fury. And this is what I keep talking about. You've got to strike while the iron's hot. You've got to strike. And now, if Wilder Fury or Fury Wilder doesn't happen till, let's just say, look, if they're waiting for fans in America, then who knows when it could happen. Then, I mean, the idea or the possibility now of Joshua versus either of those two guys in the summer just looks bleak. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, I don't know. So you then wonder if Joshua does fight Pulev and win, and Usyk fights Chisora and wins, and that fight is in, 2-3 weeks, then Usyk's now going to be chomping at the bit to get his mandatory shot. It's just going to get all messy. It's going to get all messy, and all the stars have got to align again, and that rarely happens in boxing. All right, what we got here? Eubank Jr. Canelo fight has to happen. So many fans calling for it. Who are those so many fans that are calling for Canelo versus Eubank Jr.? I mean, I said it would be a good fight just because Eubank Jr. brings it, but ain't no one calling for that fight, bro. And, you know, I like you, but ain't nobody calling. Like, there's no one saying, oh, we've got to see Eubank Jr. versus Canelo. I've not heard it. And I'm on boxing forums, I speak to boxing people, I have chats with boxing people. I haven't heard anyone say, you know what, we've got to see Eubank Jr. versus Canelo. I've seen some people say, wouldn't mind Eubank Jr. Canelo. I've seen people say that, but I haven't seen anyone's call for it like what he's insinuating here. So yeah, you just need to, you can't, Eubank, man. You can't go from DeGale, yeah, February 2019 to Korobov, December 2019, 200-second fight to Canelo. You can't do that. Maybe it's because he's seeing that Canelo is possibly fighting Yildirim, and he obviously smoked Yildirim in the World Boxing Super Series. So maybe it's like a bit of like, well, he's fighting you, but no, it doesn't work like that. You've got to do some work. You've got to do some work, man. I'm actually not Canelo's biggest fan, but Canelo's the biggest name in a sport right now. You've got to work to get to him. As far as I'm concerned, you've got to work. Like right now, Charlo beating Derevyanchenko. Charlo's close. Charlo's close, right? Like for me now, Billy Joe Saunders fights Andrade. The winner of that is close. You've got to work to get to Canelo. I'm sorry, at 160 or 168, you can't fight Korobov. And it's not like you knocked out Korobov. Korobov lose because of injury, and all of a sudden you think that you want a Canelo or deserve a Canelo fight. Don't make me turn back into old Ade where I used to really go at fighters, boy. I think I've calmed down a lot on this channel now. I might have to bring the boxing basement back. Well, some of these guys get put in basements and never come out. More on Liam Williams and Andrade here, or Andrade. He thinks that Andrade will vacate and he'll fight Munguia for the title. Boy. Munguia is actually... This might sound like a stupid statement, but I think Munguia is a tougher fight for Liam Williams than Andrade. Like Andrade isn't a brutal fight, is it? It's Andrade is a hit and move. Might make you look a bit silly, might make himself look a bit silly as he's done sometimes. But that's not a tough fight. Munguia, it's just standing there and let's have it. Let's have it with a tough old Mexican. I say old, I mean old. I don't mean old like age. I just mean he's just tough. Like tough as old boots is what I'm trying to get at. So if I'm Liam Williams, look, Munguia is actually a more winnable fight, but it's a tougher fight. Does that make any sense? Andrade's not a tough fight. Andrade ain't gonna hurt you like that. But fucking Munguia will. It's an interesting fight, that. Let's see what happens. Liam Williams, though, should concentrate on what he's got to do. I mean, he fights this weekend, right? Friday? I think he fights Friday, headline. So he's got to just concentrate on his own work first. And then we'll see. This is an interesting story. I read about this yesterday, and I wasn't going to talk about it, but let's talk about it very quickly. Jerry Forrest fined and suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for positive drug test. Now, that might have gone over people's head a bit because not many people know who Jerry Forrest is. Let's rewind a bit. Jerry Forrest was supposed to fight Jarrell Miller. Yeah? Jarrell Miller at the time popped, hence why he was removed. And then Jerry Forrest was going around everywhere talking about the fight. Jarrell Miller was obviously scared, hence why he done this. I would have beat Jarrell. Jerry Forrest was on the juice himself. You can't make it up, can you, these boxers? You can't make it up. He was supposed to fight Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller got popped. And Jerry Forrest, I remember it was literally on I think he went on a couple of YouTubers, but he went bigger than that. I think he went on SportsCenter or something anyway. And he was like, well, yeah, look, I was ready for him. He was scared, blah, blah, blah. That's why he took all the stuff. You were cheating. Nah. Anyway, he's been fined, I think it's like £10,000, $10,000 or something like that. And he has been suspended for, I think it was like 6 or 7 months, but it's been backdated. So he's allowed to box again in November. He's allowed to box. He's allowed to box next month. Boxing. Where are we? Crawford versus Brook. Nevada State Athletic Commission approves request to stage fight in Las Vegas. Do we have a date yet? Do we have a date? Okay, November 14th. Woo! Jeez, we got a good couple of months coming up, boy. Can people stop dissing and sleeping on Kell Brook, please? Like, again, I'm not saying Kell Brook's going to beat Crawford. I'm not, because I'm a big Crawford fan. But it's a decent fight. It's a decent fight. Would you rather that or he fights a nobody? And I mean a nobody in terms of guys that we don't know. Guys that might cause him problems, but guys that we don't know. Would you prefer a Cavi Velasquez type again? Is that what you want? Because we clearly know it's not going to be a Furman or a Porter or a Spencer or a Garcia or a Pac-Man. I would prefer Brook. I would. I prefer Brook. Brook looks like he's been training hard for this fight. Looks like he's in great shape. Let's see. Let's see what Kell can do. Crawford, and I've said this millions of times, gives you chances. I don't know if he gives you chances because he's so good and he feels like he can overcome whatever you're throwing at him, but he gives you chances. Kell might just be the biggest and strongest person he's ever fought. Might be. Yeah, it is, definitely, in fact. Now, I don't know how much that helps, but it's not like Kell isn't a good boxer as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Kell's big and strong. Remember, I've always said that means little, but if you're big and strong and you can box, then it's a good recipe. Bloody good recipe. Don't sleep on Kell Brook. What we got here? Aram on Loma Lopez. I don't believe in rematch clauses overused by Hearn. Yeah, I'm hearing there is no rematch. It's just whatever. Winner takes all in this motherfucker. But really and truly, if it's a great fight, there will be a rematch. But obviously all the mandatories will be coming for all the belts as well. I'm actually, not that I'm overlooking Teofimo, because I'm not. Although I keep saying Loma wins, not overlooking Timo, just how much I rate Loma. But I'm actually very interested to see what Loma does after. So when Loma has all the belts, does he go down and fight a Bichelle, a Valdez? Does he maybe roll the dice and fight a Ramirez at 140? Josh Taylor, 140, they're all top-ranked fighters. Could do that, man. All right, let's quickly close because me done tire. Mayweather, hopefully we can get 1 million, even 2 million buys for day. Do I even need to read that out? Let's read it out anyway. Let's read it out in full. Let's not disrespect Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, hopefully we can get 1 million, even 2 million buys for Davis Santa Cruz. Mate, you should be more realistic and say, hopefully we can get 250,000. Like 250, 300,000, 1 million, 2 million. What nonsense. He ain't getting that at all. He ain't getting that. And that's not even disrespecting both, but that fight ain't doing 1 million, 2 million. Is this just I've just woken up or something? Some of these stories are just hilarious today. Like the Eubank Jr. one was hilarious. There's a couple others in there, weren't there? All right, let's end on this one. This is even more hilarious. Chavez Jr. to continue career wants Golovkin in 2021. And this Chavez Jr. thing was interesting because there was a time when everyone wanted to fight Chavez Jr. just because of his name, right? He had obviously Chavez name, but he was obviously a bit of a draw. I remember Carl Froch was desperate to fight him. So as soon as Carl Froch beat George Groves, he didn't want to retire. He wanted Chavez Jr. He wanted that one fight under the lights in America, and Chavez Jr. was always the name he kept talking about. He kept talking about going to 175. A lot of people, even Andre Ward, I remember at one stage, was like, the Chavez Jr. fight. Like, he obviously brought a lot to the table in terms of that. Has he still got that? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what numbers I don't know what he done in his last fight, but he clearly still thinks he is. For him to mention Golovkin, he still thinks he's got somewhat of a name, some sort of pulling power. I don't think so. I think that pulling power died when he got smashed by Canelo and didn't fight. Like, literally didn't fight back, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's when it died. I mean, anything else after that is just whatever. I try not to be too harsh on him because look, his dad was royalty. He didn't have to box at all, right? It's not like he grew up. And I do feel that you need to grow up in like the wrong side of the road. You need to be kind of tough and gritty. He grew up in a palace. So I always felt like he done well to even get to where he got to. Because I do honestly feel that needs to be a bit of a tough background to want to fight. Like, why would you want to go in the ring and box? Like, most people want to go in the ring and box just because of that, right? Not because of the belt. It's that. I need some money. Like, I need something better for my family. This guy was already a millionaire, you know what I mean, from young. His dad, again, royalty in Mexico, royalty. So I credit him for doing what he's done. But I think enough's enough. Enough's enough for Chavez. Enough. All right, that's another video down. I'm trying to get more consistent. I'm trying to do a video a day now just because someone came at me on YouTube, says, Ade, you're not consistent anymore. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you.